Welcome to Home with Simone. My name is Simone, and a huge thank you to every single one of you that continuously supports my channel, whether new or existing. I really do appreciate you all. Today's video is part 2 of my kitchen revamp or kitchen refresh. And I noticed in the first video that I didn't really spend a lot of time showing you guys how I cut the peel and stick paper when I attach it in this method. So I spoke a little bit and I explained that I do it this way because it is more visually appealing when the pattern carries on to the next cupboard, but I didn't show you what I meant or how I cut it out. So I wanted to spend just a couple of seconds in this video showing you guys. Unfortunately, my body covers the front of it, but from the clips I was able to find, you can see or at least get an idea of how I went ahead and put the peel and stick on the both cupboards, and then I cut down the middle of it. This part was a little tricky when doing the cupboards on top of the fridge, but the good thing is that the peel and stick paper was big enough to cover the entire cupboard because they're a bit smaller in scale in comparison to the other cupboards. So I didn't have to really worry about the middle part too much. And it was just that long part coming down beside the fridge off of one of the larger cupboards. And it was a pretty easy fix, as you guys can see how I dealt with that little bit of an issue. This is what I mean when I say that I cut the peel and stick, I almost said wallpaper, that I cut the peel and stick directly from the edge of the cupboard as opposed to folding it under. That little poof head you saw come across the camera is my mom. She was helping me keep everything as tidy and organized as possible. So as I cut all of the excess pieces of the peel and stick off, I was handing it to her and she was helping me out with that. I had literally just finished doing some painting and the door knocked and it was my Amazon packages. I was so excited. The first package is the compost bin. It could be used as a desk garbage as well because it's so tiny, but I love this container. It comes with its bags on the inside. There's a lot of the bags and I like that it came with them, and I love the texture of this. Again, when I'm buying things, I like to get things that are multifunctionable, and I figured if this didn't fit the needs of what I wanted for the kitchen, I could have used it in my office area. The garbage can is the first thing that I got, and then I saw the smaller one, which is what I'm using for the compost bin. I love this garbage container. It is so cool. First of all, it opens two ways. It opens a traditional way where you just lift it up, but it also pulls back, which I really like. I thought that's pretty cool because based on how you have it on your cupboard, you may need to open it one of two ways. The trash can also came with two ways to attach it to the cupboard. One, you hang it over the top, and the other one, you can stick it on just in case your handles get in the way. So I thought that was really cool. I love the texture of the garbage container. I think it looks very high end. It feels really good. And one of the things I really appreciate about this is the bin on the inside comes out. So this is great for cleaning it. It's so important that you clean your garbage bins. Like, don't just empty it, but literally wash it and sanitize it. Together, they look perfect. Super excited to put them up. And that's what I did. This is what they look like in the kitchen. So as I said, the container opens both ways traditionally, and then the lid can come towards you like I have in this clip. And then there's the compost right beside the stove. It's a perfect place for it. Same with the garbage, because if I'm making eggs or slicing up vegetables or anything like that, I tend to do it literally right at the stove. So having that there and it being a touch open, so you just poke it down and it pops open. You can use the back of your hand if your hands are dirty. It makes it really, really useful. One of the most exciting projects in the kitchen for me is my spice drawer. And I kind of showed you guys a preview of that in the previous video. This is just me at Bulk Barn getting my spices, feeling all excited to go home and create this aesthetically pleasing drawer. And the spices, believe it or not, it didn't come up to too much. I mean, it was what? I think $23 is what I paid in total for all the spices. Here's my receipt. Yeah, $23.04. So that was perfect. I also said in the last video that I would be changing my spice bottles. These bottles I got from Amazon. The bottles, and look at this nonsense, guys. Look at this nonsense. Look at me with a tape measurer trying to add, we're just going to bypass that, okay? We're going to bypass what I just did because honestly, that tape measure lasted all but 2 seconds. And then after that, I was like, no, I'm just going to stick my labels on. The labels in a jar came separately. That was an intentional decision on my end because I wanted my jars to be bigger than the ones that I had. In the last video that I did mention to you guys, I needed to go up at least another 2 inches in order for it to fit in the drawer the way that I wanted it to. And it did. Guys, look how beautiful these bottles are. In fact, my mother decided that she was going to put in her 2 cents and she would describe these bottles as being girthy and robust. So now I'm going now I'm going to be filling my girthy, robust. She's laughing in the background. Now I'm filling my girthy and robust spice jars with, robust. I'm saying it wrong. Mom, can you say it? Can you describe these bottles? It's so ridiculous. She can't even say it. So as I fill my girthy and robust spice jars, the one thing I have to say that I found highly irritating with the jars, they came with that blue funnel. Now, I have never used a silicone funnel before. It was madness. I got so frustrated at one point that I was complaining to my mom, and she says, listen to this. This is the advice my mother had given to me about transferring my spices into the robust spice jar. She says, well, why don't you squeeze it like you're milking a cow? So that's what I was doing. I was doing that beforehand. But then when she said it, I thought to myself, thanks for the great advice, Mom. Always super helpful. But when you're doing something like this, it's always nice to have somebody else present with you because it could feel redundant. It can feel super boring. So if she's going to suggest that I milk my spices into the robust jars, so be it. I'll let her have that one. There I go, milking. Here I go again, milking the curry. Well, I made a couple of mistakes with these jars. Talking and laughing and watching TV and getting distracted. I actually had put some of the spices in the wrong jars. Now, instead of just peeling off the label and putting the label on the jar that belongs to that particular spice, I decided to do things the hard way. Look at me trying to funnel cloves. That is the wildest thing. I don't even know what I was thinking because they're hard. Anyways, I figured it out quick enough. But going back to me explaining to you guys I have to do things the hard way, I ended up just pouring the spices back into the other jar. All in all, it worked out perfectly fine. But, a quick fix would have just been peel off the label and stick it back on because the labels were not difficult to use. I made a couple mistakes where it was kind of crooked and I was able to peel it off and put it on, not a problem. They do bubble a little bit because it's a stick and peel, but the good thing is that you're able to smooth it out. I also really like that the labels are waterproof and they were really easy to use. Be a little careful because if you're aggressive with the labels, you can actually stretch them out a bit and it will change the shape of it. So that's the only thing I have to say. And the other positive thing is the bottles also came with that little top part that you can either shake the spices out or you can lift up the bigger part and empty the spice out that you need. Look at the size difference in these jars. The original one is so much smaller. It's narrow. It's impractical. I broke so many of these. My son broke a lot of those because they were just super light And the newer ones, I felt the quality right off the bat. And guys, let me tell you how these things were packaged. I wish I took a video. They were packaged in a box. Think about like how eggs come in a carton and each egg is in its own holder. Now, turn that into styrofoam. That's how they came. Impossible to damage them. Look at these jars in the drawer. Now look at the jars in the drawer with the spices. Super happy. I still have to get some more of my salt. I need to get the chives, and I also need to get my thyme. Aside from that, I'm super happy with the way everything turned out. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video and I was able to inspire you to think big and get creative and have fun. I'll see you all in the very next video.